Dumelang and welcome to another episode of Varied Views. My name is Stella Alice Ledwaba. Guys, I don't know if you know already, but the Varied Views family is growing and I am super excited. So yes, Matlaila is joining us on the social pillar, you guys. She has carefully selected agendas from her book, A Decade in My Lifetime, to extrapolate on. And of course, I'm joining her to discover a varied view. You can be part of the family as well. Share your thought with us in the comment section down below. And go ahead, subscribe, like, and press the notification bell.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Dumelang Thobela le kae? Ka leina ke nna Pebetsi Anolo Matlaila. I know you've seen me on this platform before and you're probably wondering, where is our usual host? Don't you worry, I'm not taking over. She is right beside me. You will see her very soon. She'll be joining me on this new pillar of Varied Views. So welcome to yet another interesting episode of Varied Views. It is quite important that I mention that as the co-host on this new pillar of Varied Views, I will be tackling issues that I mention in my book, A Decade in My Lifetime. We did see your suggestions. We have heard your inquiries and we listened. You would like to know more, and that's what we are here to do today. So yes, this new section of Varied Views will be specifically tackling social matters that impact all our lives on a daily basis. So stick around for an interesting show. So before we get into today's episode, if you haven't done so already, I would encourage you to make sure that you subscribe. Not only that, I would appreciate it if you went to the comments and shared a few of your 2 cents regarding today's episode. And if possible, go ahead and hit that notification bell so you know when the next episodes launch. All right? Now, with that said, today we are tackling an issue that is hardly spoken about. Why do I say that? It's something that's always brushed to the side, you know? As a matter of fact, within the Black community, you find that Batuabantu never really speak about this matter. I don't know if it's something to be shamed upon, if it brings some shame on the particular individual tackling this. But today we want to get to the nitty-gritty of it. I want us to actually chew the meat and get to the bone of the social matter. And what am I talking about? I will be speaking about the daunting responsibility of single parenting. And who I have in studio today joining me on that particular issue is not only my co-host, Alice Ledwaba, but a lady who is experienced in the single parenting arena. What do I mean by that? She's an individual who was raised by a single mother, and she's a single mother herself. And just so you know, it is not by choice, which is why it is important for us to speak about such today. I hope that we'll be able to dissect each and every single part of it. If we missed out on anything, you know what to do. Get in the comments and share your 2 cents with. Without any further ado, though, I would like to welcome our guest in studio, my friend, my co-star on the TV show that we both acted on, and also somebody that I just feel she's not afraid to be vocal about her stance on certain issues. Today we will be speaking to Neo Rams. However, I would like her to tell us what Rams stands for, because she decided to go with Neo Rams and the whole world knows as Neo Rams. However, Neo Rams is not just that. She is an entrepreneur. She is the founder of Neo Slimming Tea. She is a mother of 2. She is a marketing manager, and the world knows her fondly by the character role that she played as Butilo on SABC's popular TV drama Skim Sam. Neo! Oh, we needed that. Thank you so much for making it, Neo.
Were you scared to say Ramitana?
I didn't want to mess up Ramitana because Kimopedi. So the way it's written, I would say Ramishana.
I know.
Right?
Yeah.
So I was like, let me not mess it up. Let me leave it to say Neo Ramitana. So that's what Ram stands for.
That's what Rams stands for.
So how do they feel? How does your family member feel when people always refer to you as Neo Rams?
They've adopted it themselves.
You see, that's how we know you now.
They call themselves a Rams. Okay.
Noah, thank you for joining us on Varied Views.
Thank you very much for inviting me.
Yeah, so today you're chilling with Tele Alice Ludaba over there and yours truly.
Yes.
And we would like to actually, let's get into it, ladies. Let's not be scared. As a matter of fact, let's be unhinged, né? But with a bit of a...
Controlling
Yeah. Can we have
breaking?
breaking? But then I think
Okay. So
what
we're politically correct. Is that
no,
what we're going
I
for,
still
ladies?
feel like if we're politically correct, we'll be denying people of the true,
rawness.
Yeah,
Diluting the-
yeah, we'll be
the-
diluting it. Right.
All right.
So I'll say maybe let's be careful of whose toes we may be stepping on.
Okay, gloves off.
She was. I told you she's not afraid. So I think I would let's kickstart it with let's hit the ground running.
Yeah.
Right. And what I want to find out is this: what do you think are the most common truths about single parenting as a person experiencing that society hardly speaks about?
So first of all, guys, I'm not the poster child of single parenting.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you for mentioning that.
I stand to be corrected in any matter. In fact, I've also experienced how well it works when you are parenting together in one household, and it's beautiful. I love it. So I'm actually a champion of if you can work through it. Relationships are hard. Try to parent together because it's better together. For me, I feel, my personal opinion, having experienced it, I think it's better together unlike doing it alone. We can be stark fro and try, but you're gonna miss a couple of balls. So what was your question again to me?
Okay,
If I
thank you for
clarify
mentioning that you're not the poster child. And like I mentioned, that issues we touch up on here are issues that are already mentioned in the book, A Decade in My Lifetime. So people already know that I am currently a single parent.
Yeah.
So I just felt instead of always focusing on my story, how about we also bring other people that are experiencing it,
And
right?
I also want to say, I might be a single parent now. It doesn't mean it's going to be forever.
Can we still answer the questions?
Okay, let's go.
Yeah,
Okay.
let's go. Can we answer the question?
What are the common truths about single parenting that society hardly speaks about? I'll go first. I believe the financial turmoil, the financial responsibility of single parenting. I feel like most women don't mention it, but it is hard. And despite the fact that we may have the courts helping us with child maintenance, but when you are the one raising the child and the child lives with you 80% of the time, you are dealing with everyday needs, right?
Yeah.
So I feel like the financial burden, I don't want to call it a burden, but let me say the financial responsibility of single parenting is something that society hardly mentions. And it seems like it's a norm. It should be that way, and it shouldn't. So that's what I could say.
You're absolutely right that it shouldn't. And like you're saying, it's normalized that, single parents do it, you know? And I think sometimes it's because our parents did it so well. And then now it's, now it's expected. You know, it's expected for mama so why can't you? Do you get what I mean? But what I think it's not mentioned is the emotional burden.
Oh yeah, that's another
like hangwana akula, and you are busy, trying this and doing that alone. It's so taxing on, and sometimes on top of that, because of the financial burden, you also have to show up in the morning, go your 9 to 5 or whatever that you are pushing.
Yeah.
So you can't. So when you're doing it together, like I said, I've also experienced that. When you're doing it together, it's nice because you can even say, okay, I'm gonna sleep for an hour. You handle the child for now, and then we'll take shifts. But when you are alone, there's none of that. There's nobody saying, yeah, you're doing a good job, or ish. Let me do the Shem, today you are sick. You can't take any day off. So you can't be
So
sick.
can I interject?
Yeah.
Just to ask a question, right?
Yeah.
So I'm assuming now you're talking your story.
My
This is
story,
your
yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm
personal
speaking for myself.
Yeah. So when you gave birth, did you stay at home or were you staying alone?
So, okay, fine. So I've got 2 kids. Maybe it's good to tell the background. I've got 2 kids, right? And by 2 different fathers. The first one, she's 18 right now. And it didn't work out with the father from the age of 3. No?
Okay.
So from there, and at that time I was young. I was like 23, so I was staying at home. So even that was better because I had
So-
support of home.
Yeah, so that's what I'm speaking to, right?
Yeah.
Because the way I'm understanding what you're saying, the hardships you experience is that, you would have loved for that home setting with him, right? It felt like you were doing it alone. But I
Exactly.
know that in our society, mostly that period, you're staying with your family, like your mom or your grandmother must be there for the first whatever time, like, and then I'm thinking from that, what you're saying is that you would rather it were to be with him at that point or with the family.
Okay. So to complete, now my second was a whole different experience.
Scenario.
So now I was married and
Okay.
gave birth, and we were doing. That's what I'm saying. For I have benefits of the experience of both, where we did everything together. From
That's with the second baby.
yeah, that's with the second
okay.
one. So from conception till till recent, recent being, let's say, 3 years ago, and now my last one is 5 now. So let's say for the last 3 years, we did it together. And I'm saying for her, even though it's difficult,
Yeah.
even though there are challenges, because a baby does give, like something happens in the relationship. There's a bit of a rift. So there are challenges, but it's better even going through forget when the child is there, even going through pregnancy with your partner, it's so much better. And with my first one, I went through the pregnancy alone. And with this one, I made sure that's why, I made sure that I'm gonna have a partner, we're gonna do it properly, we're gonna do it this way, this way, this way. So yeah, like it's very taxing emotionally and physically and financially when you are one man doing it. I get these days we've got this new phenomenon of co-parenting, and it's all great, né? But in that time when you are with that child, you are single, you're doing it by yourself. So we can say 1 week you've got the child, the other week I've got the child. But in that 1 week, you are doing everything by yourself. So when you're doing it together, you're sharing responsibilities. You're in the situation. So I'm talking the man. You're in the situation, so you're able to see where she's lacking or where she needs help or where. So when you're not there, it somehow just has to work somehow.
Yeah, that's a very profound thing that I feel like you just said. Like, sometimes you just want a person to understand whether that pain. I'm not sure what's going on. So, check if kishota more,
Exactly.
just so that they can
Yeah.
be consistent. I think
Yeah.
that is a beautiful thing to have when you're pregnant.
Yeah.
So, are you also in the same boat of single parenting at the moment, Alice? Like you mean like a chava girl.
What do you mean? What does that mean?
Wait. So I also have my own experience about, being single, but I also want to be honest to say I'm part of the gang that had like strong support from family.
Okay.
So in the sense of time, because I'm a risk taker naturally, so I tend to make certain decisions. So not having money, so my family really played a good role. Like even now, I'm able to plan proper. That's only now I can say, okay, I'm gonna stay with my daughter next year. So it allowed me to do things like go to school. So that support counted. So in as much as my partner wasn't there, and I made the decision, right? So it was like that's the journey I needed to take. I don't know if I would have I would want to have it any other way, but I do understand. Like as a woman, I also want to have a child, and I want to have a husband, and then live in that same house.
You want a proper nucleus of a family.
I do. So I can totally understand that essence. So yes, I can say between Nale, my baby daddy, I am the single parent, if you will. But I also want to add on that for me, the father role, my family took it. So I think ngwana wa ka ke le one, ke ngwana wa family.
Is it?
Yeah.
And I think that's how our parents used to do it back in the day. Because I get there was this notion that motswadi wilo bereka, ngwana o shala the grandparents, raised by the grandparents. Because motswadi is alone and they're there to do it. But with that said, with you mentioning that your parents took on the role that your child's father could have taken, I want to tackle this one though, because
and I feel like I want to tackle it now. I was gonna leave it for later, but it's hard hitting right now. When I'm hanging out with my friends who are married, and they live in the same household with the father of the child and the child, um, I feel like they turn to look at you as somebody washotang. It seems like single parenting is a disability. Nobody seems to ever wonder where is the dad, what happened. Instead, I don't know, maybe it's my paranoia, but it seems like everybody's thinking, what did you do to not be able to maintain a dad in this household, right? So then it
Yeah.
brought me
Okare
back
wena
to
kwena
saying,
le
yeah. So it brought me back to saying, does a single parent choose to be a single parent? Do you think it's a choice we make? While you're pregnant, are you choosing what now I'm gonna be single and I'm going to carry this cross and braid the storm on my own?
I don't think so. I don't think the intention would be that. But sometimes situation, bad or no one or king, or the other person.
But sometimes you do choose.
Yeah.
Thank
sometimes
you.
you
I
do-
was gonna say something of the I chose at one
Sometimes you
point.
do. Lena, with my first one, I believe I chose, and it's because I don't know. I feel like when you become a mom, some sort of maternal instinct kicks in. And you see with a whole lot of clarity and keep like this is not gonna be good for the life that I'm about to bring in. You know? And sometimes that's when, you
So when you
decide-
did choose, how did society view you, or even family members? How did they view? Didn't
No,
they
for
look
me,
at
the
you as
biggest
being
pro-
selfish
No,
because you're
no.
robbing the child of being raised by the dad?
Not at all. The highlight, the magnifier was on the fact of she's so young. She get like and Vela, she's so young and get last born. Like last born. She's so young, get last born. Oh, now so the scandal was, how is she gonna do this? But now I was looking at the details. So I was doing this by sorting out my life to so can. Firstly, this one is not gonna work here if we're gonna go on this journey. Brother says to exit. So got the first one, I can say I chose that.
But don't you find like it's like harder, right? Like it feels like you are two people, or you have to be two people. Like when you make that decision,
Like double up on the
you're
on the
doubling
job.
up on yourself. So like you are just
when you
like,
make that decision for her, I'm gonna.
yeah. I'm not saying it's a wrong decision.
No, I know, and it could be
Like
perhaps. perhaps it is-
like it's like
I never thought. For me, and let's hear women say, "Yeah, we fathers and we mothers, we are what."
no, I don't think. Yeah,
No,
not
you
in
know
that
what I'm saying?
context, yeah.
And I do not want to I know in the past I've said, and my mom always used to stop me. I used to always say, Happy Mother's Day and Happy Father's Day, and
Well, I'm glad she did.
And she'd be like, no, I'm not your father, and in my experience, I've never tried to be a father. But I've never tried. I don't even try to say, okay, now I have to be stern and be a dad and whatnot. I'm just being me, and I know that I need to deliver us somewhere, and I'm gonna deliver us by my best abilities. Sometimes I need to protect. I'm gonna protect how Neo would protect, not how will a man protect us right now. How would a father come into play right now? I'm gonna protect however way as Neo. So that's why I never ever want to be seen as somebody's dad as well. I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm Neo, but as Neo, I have to deliver this ship. I have to.
From which angle let's take it Neo. Neo likes looking good, right? And you like maybe going shopping and buying your stuff, right? And then now there's this life that's coming in, right? So now there's like, Luana, you want your child to have certain things. So for you to be able to be Neo and take care of that child, you have to double up for you to understand.
Which is honestly what I'm doing right now.
So if you had a partner, if you had like that partner, then in maybe remitana halfway, then it gives you a little bit 500 rand to go
No,
do
yeah,
it.
true.
Yeah,
No,
so
yeah,
that's where I'm
definitely.
meaning
No,
from.
yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it's a lot of work
It
to
is,
have to
no,
go
but
through
it
it.
is. You always have to be on. So much so that when you're on, you even feel bad for gore. It's as a single parent. That's the sad thing about being a single parent, is that you always have to be selfless in a selfish society.
Yes.
You always
Yes.
just have to put the kids first, or understand. Like when you take the background and the kids. That's the only shams not so nice thing about it. And when you're doing it with a partner, for you have moments, or you have moments to yourself. Whereas when you're single, you don't have moments to yourself.
So I mean, with that said, I can relate to your situations, your circumstances as well. I think we have similar circumstances in terms of the first child.
Oh, can I interject? Sorry.
Yeah.
So you reminded me of when you were talking about how it's seen as a disability.
Yes.
I remember, and everybody that is close to me is gonna be like, oh no, that's like it touched me. Kana was that one saying, but anyway, that saying means the doer does not remember, but the doee is the one that would remember. But anyway,
Even ka Setswana tleng,
Kelebe
kopa
is like, I don't wanna butcher.
Modiriwa. Yeah.
I wish
The
I
doer
knew.
feels
Yeah.
okay.
And I remember one time, and I had this friend, and she was from a mom and a dad, and a nuclear family, and me and my mom and my sisters my mom was a single parent. And I don't know what we had to do, whether it was that I had to go sleep over and whatnot. And the mom of this child was concerned and actually brought it to the attention of other parents to say,
While you were there.
no, not while I was there, but she was concerned for. So my other friend then told me, Mama's mom was inquiring with our parents that you are from a single parent and like, you might not be good for us. Like you might influence us badly. Like by the fact of I need to assume for when you're from a single parent,
Out to the molao. Yeah.
whatnot. So also, I remember it hurting me so. That was the first time I felt the burden of coming from,
Oh my God.
a single
guys,
parent
no.
household. That I was like, oh, when you didn't know something was wrong with you until somebody points.
But I think that's unfair though. Like I just think to
But
make
that's why I
somebody
mentioned.
feel that way for me is just not making sense.
But that's why I mentioned Nalina in my late 30s. You must remember, I've always carried the single parenting thing as some sort of a pride. Yeah, I chose to be a single parent twice, Nochal, and I'm going to do it. I'm going to carry this cross and go through every storm and every trench that I need to go to because it was my choice. Nobody forced me, but the choice was due to unfavorable circumstances. So I've got a child who's 12, and yes, when she has to go to sleepovers and stuff, or even when we're at her school event, I find that mothers that have a nuclear family in the household with the father and the dad look at me like disabled. No, I'm serious. It always makes me feel like my way, guys. I'm still my child was at another same school with you guys.
Yeah.
She's in the same school with your kids, performing just as well as your kids. And it just so happens that school events, I don't rock up with the partner.
I find for her,
Why
if in fact they nobody wants to make friends with you.
Yes, because you might
they're
steal the
scared,
husband.
they're scared. You're single. I get
Oh,
it.
you mean guy friends or
No,
girlfriends?
the people that have like the
The mothers.
parents the mothers that have husbands and then
Don't
let's say
go
that
bankela bana, go
yeah, so
class
when
together.
you want it and you're looking, so nobody wants to make friends with you or they keep you.
I
at
get
arm's
that too,
length.
by the way.
Yeah,
It's not
but
your paranoia. I get it.
there was a time when I used to rock up with the father and reception is really different, man. You're included. Everything, it's come
They
hang
will
with us.
invite you to do what?
Everything, like whatever. Come, you guys come. We'll cater. When you come alone, people hi, and
But why do you think they do
They're
that?
so threatened. Like it's that thing.
You're single. You might intimidate
You're
or
you might
seduce the husband.
You have no boundaries. Sound discipline.
You know what I mean? Hence why
Which is such a
That's
faulty
hence
thing to
banana
think, right?
from a child from a household with
Exactly.
one parent and a mullah.
Exactly. Say, that's why
But if only they knew, probably that woman, the very person who is insecure, that's the person you are respecting the most because there is a reason why you're single, so
Yeah.
you're not hoping for it, right?
Yeah.
The person that they should be trusting is you.
I guess exactly the person that they but no because
Because
how
would you disrespect another woman like that? Like,
But I get
do you understand what I'm saying? When you know what that pain is gonna make her feel.
But also married women in most cases, I don't know if it's spoken open, but I get rather encouraged you can't have single friends. It's that very same reason. So you are now that single friend. Like in marriage, like I get very in marriage, like it's discouraged. Or you can't be hanging around with single people like what you're doing.
And then
Right?
those that were your friends, like Balanele, Yadi Braying you together, do they treat you the same or is it just go long fell? Is it just as cool or like in your social space, are you finding that as well?
Yes, I am. I am, yeah. To the point where I feel like my friends who are married, when they have to invite me to something as simple as their child's birthday party, they have to be kind of skeptical. They have that skepticism because the other friends who are coming with their partners, and I'm that mother who rocks up single. One understand that. But I've learned to give them peace of mind by not talking to. I don't talk to my friends' partners at all. I don't even look them in the eye. Like I deliberately make sure I give because it's the beautiful burden we carry.
I agree. It sounds so painful.
Oh my goodness.
So, Mara, I deliberately do that just to give them comfort as well. And then again, I want my child to have friends. I don't want my children to feel like them lacking a father in the household, it makes them inadequate. So I'm doing it for them, right? I'm trying to do it for them so they can feel normal around other children. And with that said, it leads me to my next question. I want to know about overcompensating. As a single mother, do you ever find yourself overcompensating?
In what sense?
Like you do extra because you know she doesn't have a father to do that for her, so I better do it a little bit more. For example, my oldest one just celebrated her birthday. Yes, her dad did send money to celebrate her birthday, but her dad is not there. So here I am, I would take her out with her friends, and then I'd still go out with her individually, just her and I, which is something she expects her dad to do, like a daddy and girl child date, So I did that. And a friend of mine says, you're overcompensating, you're going to burn out. Mara, it's the doubling up.
Yes, exactly. That's
I'm
what
doubling
I was
up. I don't
thinking.
want it to feel less than. I think maybe my flaw is I feel guilty for robbing her of a normal household. So I'm overcompensating.
Why do you feel guilty?
I could it was my choice.
Mara, halaba utara pomas.
She doesn't know that yet. She doesn't know that yet in full context. Yes, she knows that
But
with the
you made
second.
this decision for her, so why are you guilty?
But that's the thing. I feel like she's too young to understand it now. Maybe in her late teens she can understand. My mom made that decision for me, so she doesn't need to overcompensate. She's doing as much as she can. For example, think about when you were younger. You only started understanding your mom when you were at a mature stage where you understand. My mom sacrifices this for us. My mom is living with this man so that we can have a home.
True story.
Right?
I think I actually said that to my mom. So my mom and I got to a point where we started really talking mature shit. Right. So I think it was literally.
We are allowed to swear.
Oh,
apparently,
allegedly.
So I think it must have been 3 years, if not 4 years ago only, that I actually said to my mom, I really understand. Actually, I'm lying, it was last year. Where I actually said to my mom, actually for the first time, I understand your decisions.
You see, so it takes a certain level of maturity.
yeah.
But in the
It takes
meantime,
you to have your own kids.
yeah,
It takes having your own kids for you. Like now for me it's not all at once. There are moments where I'm like, oh, that's why she was.
Yeah.
Look at me also making the same decision. And I judged her, I judged her.
So, but
You know
then
what
do you
I wanna
find yourself
bring?
overcompensating as
Oh
well?
yes, or to answer that, I definitely do, because for me, especially for my Kiaki, her dad was, absolutely not there.
From the age of 3.
Yeah. So I really try to not let it show. Yeah. So she says, my motto in life is don't let it show.
Yeah.
I like that.
So I try to not. So there's very little that guy asks for that I say no to. Of course, you not recklessly, but and also because for me, I was always the youngest mom amongst the oldest moms, because I had Kia so young.
Oh, that's another thing.
So
yeah.
I had, so we were, so one, you're single, you're so young as well, and you are amongst, these accomplished women. But these accomplished women, even though when I was you're probably still a receptionist or you still a whatnot, they still see you as a threat because you're a young child who looks how you look, and you've got a child's the age of their child as well. So that was difficult. But you know what I wanted to also bring to the fore? We're talking about how difficult it is being a single parent.
Yeah.
I think we should actually say it's difficult being a single mom because a single dad, if a single dad's there to see what you think about it. When a man is with a pram with a child, everybody's like, "Oh, are you okay? What do we help you with?" Oh, like girls are auditioning there. Like, yeah, it's different.
I can be the stepmom.
It's different when a guy is got a child and he's the single dad. Everybody's like, "Oh, you're looking after your kid." Oh no, everybody is like, "Oh, how do you know?"
Well, people admire single
dads.
fathers.
Whereas with a brunette, it's normal. It's like, oh, girl, step in line.
No, I've seen it.
We all
Alice,
single
I've
here.
seen it.
When it's a guy,
can't believe
everybody.
This can't be true.
No, I've seen it. I've seen it
Nami,
too.
I've seen it. Even my ex used to say, but like when we were cordial, when we were still talking nicely, he would say like,
You
"Yo,
must talk with your ex nicely all the time. Please.
okay, no, I cannot. I always believe for her there's that period where is. Like I said, it's cancelled. Where's fuck? You know, like everybody must die. And after that, if you guys survive that, I feel like then you realize for her, look, at the end of the day, we gotta raise the. I don't know. I think so. I think
I've seen it.
I think somehow it gets better with time, but for us it's still raw. Like the wounds are still you know. So we still going through that. So there was a time when we used to talk, and he used to say, during this 2-year separation, what I've noticed is that, hey, when you're single dad, it's nice. When you're at the mall, everybody let you cut the line. Everybody's, and the ladies are trying to entertain your kid because they're auditioning. They're like, oh my gosh, look, I love kids.
I've seen that. I've done that too.
You
A
did
guy,
it?
yeah.
That's how you guys flirt with men.
No, an ex-colleague of mine.
They do it, like, and I've seen it. The thing is, I've seen it happen too. You know when you're at a distance and you're like, look at that.
No, I remember I once gushed over a father walking with their 13-year-old daughter. She was holding balloons and wearing a birthday sash, right? I'm like, oh, wow, happy birthday, darling. Is this your daughter? Aria, it's my daughter. Oh, wow, what are you guys doing after this? No, I'm just going to take her out with the
why
friends.
not? She was
They do this. They do this.
And not
Audition.
You see what I of this? It's for the likes of this.
What are you guys? What are you
where
doing
you
with your
going?
daughter?
You want to invite them for dinner?
No, I was curious.
Why?
She's 13. So as a girl, she's probably getting into a womanhood. And does the dad know what to do? Does the dad know her interests?
Like, what role were you gonna play? How were you gonna fix this gap?
No, I wanted to suggest a few things.
Okay.
And I remember I was so gushing over the dad, and I was like,
Now think about
well
it.
done, you're doing a
Would
good
you date a guy that doesn't have a kid? No. Would you? Okay, nothing.
Oh, no, right now I would.
You would?
Absolutely.
You're with no kid. I don't trust you.
No, I have enough kids, guys.
No, not because you want kids, but you feel for her. Like experiencing, man, like how is he gonna relate with your kids?
Oh yes,
You
to
get what
relate
I
to my
mean?
kids, yeah. Especially if it's gonna get to a point where he knows my children.
Exactly.
Right? Yes, I want him to have a kid. Yeah.
Yeah, you need to have a kid because otherwise, like I said,
So,
I
but
don't
it's
trust
true.
you.
I
But
think
that's
let's
a
be
valid
honest.
point.
It's
That's a
true.
valid point.
Single fathers have it easier than
You're
single mothers.
single dad.
They praise them.
That's why they're doing it like it's getting out of fashion. How many of y'all can I get?
Mara, how about those ones, Baba Zamang? Sorry, and I don't mean to always come up with a different angle, ne? But the saddest thing, like I've got like multiple friends, ne? And I see how they are trying to get just their kids, the visitation, you understand? Like where the advice you can give is the advice I would normally give to my girlfriend. Why is Muisha the legal route? There are guys that are trying, personally, my friends, and they're having one issue. We know because you are still bleeding.
Because I feel like,
This is very views.
But you
I
know.
say no woman wakes up one day and decides for her she's gonna stop access. And I feel like men are not being absolutely honest. The one thing that they're like, they're shutting down access when saying I don't want to say every woman, but the ideal situation for most women is that nuclear situation.
And that is 100% true, right?
And because we are the nurturers, you look at your child and they're like, papa, like you see it. So no woman wakes up and is like, it's so.
So what do you
Men-
think the reasons could be?
A lot of reasons.
Like, just give me
let's talk about the
snippets.
abuse that's going on in relationships.
Let's talk about how the father may not be safe around the child is not safe around the child.
Both financial abuse and whatnot. How okay, fine. Why do I still need to think for Korea? You must still see your child if you can't even buy bread. When
Or
you
diapers.
do not diapers. When you do not see the importance of feeding this child, but
Maranyaka
you want
hormone.
Instagram pictures.
To prove to the world that you're present.
You came with a ball. Ooh, I'm a great father. Okay, fine, sharp. Get a lebon, ne? You get what I mean? So those are the things that women are dealing with, and we're not speaking about it. Men, I'm like, yeah, but they're not giving us access. The reason we're not giving money was not supporting our children. That is your child, no matter what that woman does. And if you are not feeding that child might as well die.
But if I
Yeah.
have to be honest,
Yeah.
the world knows already that my ex-partner is nowhere to be found. Doesn't support the child, has been MIA for a while. But can I tell you, I'm still trying to reach out to him, despite the fact that he's never supported. Because my first daughter has such a great relationship with her father. I feel sorry for the second one, Kore. Yana, she doesn't have a dad. And you know the saying when they say a child without a father becomes a woman with men problems. I don't want my kid to be like that.
Even I believe, folks, I'm sorry again, I speak for my own, even the girls with fathers have daddy issues. Because doesn't mean for the fact that he was there reading a newspaper, you got the value of.
Do you agree?
Not every.
Look,
Girls
my
with
dad.
fathers, do they have daddy issues?
I believe so, but because I just think this.
I mean, present fathers, because you could have a father in the household, but he's not present.
So I just want to say the value I see, but it didn't come without its challenges, right?
You're being politically correct.
No,
right
I'm being
now.
honest.
Okay.
I'm being honest, not politically correct. I'm
Okay.
literally being honest. I want to, like you said the other time, I want to family
Phiri,
right?
yeah.
So in that light, my dad supports me. In fact, I think I'm my dad's favorite. I know I said it, but no, I'm lying. My little brother, no, my little brother is. But I just think, I'm just that one person that my dad supported. Whatever crazy idea that I come with, my dad support. What I'm finding is I usually do, like, the men that I'm in a relationship with, right? That sort of like resemble. I think maybe any part of my family member, but mostly I think my dad. I'm drawn to them more.
So like I get it. I think psychologists might agree with us here, but in most times we date our not
Yeah,
only date
it's
our
somebody's
dads, but our types tend to be what our dads
That's
are.
yes,
That is what
yes.
I mean when I
That
say
is true. For me, that is my experience,
Yeah.
right? In terms of how I assess it, like, I wouldn't say that I've got daddy issues, right? I know it's not perfect, but I do find myself being drawn to, because I do see the value that he has added. And I mean, for me to say this, I'm thinking he's going to be happy, because it's like the first 20 years of my life, I hated this man. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we found a way to, even though we always understood each other, like, I just write a note, then I get into my bed, I find it. I don't say thank you, I don't ask you. So there was a time where we were literally not seeing eye to eye. But I think when I got to understand him, I got to understand the value of him. And then also in my relationship, those are things that I definitely would value, because that is my normal kind of love.
Wow.
You understand what I'm saying? So like if I see those traits, I'm like, okay, yeah.
No, but I hear you, and thank you for making that clear, né? Because not a lot of people would be that open about it. There are times when we don't see eye to eye, but when you see the value now, because you're an adult and you're mature as
Yes.
well. So I
Yes.
just quickly want to mention this note before we push any further, because I don't want us to be scrutinized. I know that somebody out there is probably thinking, man, just go to the courts, wish him to maintenance court, and stop following after him or trying to badmouth him or trying to, put him under a bad light. But I don't know your experiences with maintenance court, and I don't know if any one of you have been through such, but I have come to give up on the justice system when it comes to helping the woman in terms of maintenance, because the process is so long and the process requires nitty-gritties that take a woman a long time. How can you expect me to put together receipts of the child's maintenance from the day they are born, just so that you can be able to equally divide my income and the father's income.
Is that what they want?
And it's a lengthy process. Yes, but we want to know the cost of the child. Yes, they want to know every single detail. So when you must keep receipts. I remember when I first attempted, which was about 3 years ago, I ended up saying, you know what, it's okay. And also, I also found out that the court would require more financial backing from from the parent that is employed. A self-employed parent is let off easy. And for me, that is more concerning. A self-employed parent is let off easy because they don't have a standard income all the time. And a parent who has a standard income will be the one who they require more from. And I still feel like the courts really don't support the parent. I won't say the mother, but the parent that's living with the child. And the reason I'm mentioning this is because I know a lot of females that have spoken to me about exactly this. I've given up. I worked with a lawyer. Sometimes you'd find that the lawyer has been bribed by the other partner. You know what, let's let this thing fizzle out. You know what I'm saying? Or maybe the other partner has some sort of influential power over the courts. But I know for a fact, and I have cases that I can, back it up with if ever I'm to be inquired. The courts do not really support. Basically, the child maintenance law does not seem to be working at all.
That is so disheartening.
It is so disheartening.
Now, talking about the issue of financial abuse, you are trying to create a solution financially for yourself because you don't have support, and then you have to go through this lengthy process.
And then people always say, what's Motwarishi? Do you know by the time this person starts paying, it will be 3 years later? So for me, that's one thing that I've always wanted to campaign against or be an activist against, but it has so much that I never bothered
Mara,
trying.
how are they gonna know how much to pay you if you don't produce that information?
Okay, so like I said, when I first approached the Moroccan, Wanoki Ntatahai hasn't supported her since the day she was born. How do I go about getting maintenance from the father? Okay, find out where the father works. We also want your details of where you work. And then we want the costs of the child on a monthly basis.
So for how long do you have to keep this?
About 3 months. Okay. 3 months bank statement. So you need to keep consistent records. What I did not understand is I live in a household with 2 kids. We buy it for all of us. So now I must start putting things separate. Okay. Understand how daunting that is.
It's a very tedious
and it's
exercise. Ne? Mara gore imagine if wena oya kwa or at least if I come for 2,000, but ge ba calculator the cost, ba check everything, ba feel gore why is our 10,000?
Well,
do you understand?
Like I said, if you are self-employed, they don't require much from you. But if I have a standard job and a standard income, they're going to require more from me.
Yeah.
So that's when I gave up. I'm putting myself in the mud at the end of the day.
Yeah, so you would rather...
What is your experience?
You know what I find hard to quantify in that process is... Because I was a stay-at-home mom. How do I quantify, my contribution? So for when you could go to work, and while you were working, I know it might not seem like it, but I was running this household. I was looking after the kids. I'm the one driving So for me, the difficulty was when I now had to quantify how much I want.
Exactly.
And I still feel like, when you feel, and sometimes for me, in my experience was that we live in a man's world. And I cannot force you to see my perspective if you've never lived it. So imagine trying to describe the color red to somebody who's never seen the color red. So decision makers, you'd find for magistrates, judges, advocates, and whatnot are men. So you might say for I'm looking after this child. 5,000 is not gonna be enough.
Like how much would you normally ask for?
Then no. What I'm trying to say is that let's say a judgment is 5,000, and I'm coming from a position of I'm a stay-at-home mom. I can't quantify. Okay, yes, you can say okay, fine. Every day I take them from the house to school and back, and you can quantify that, but not always, because sometimes you have to stop over guy for ice cream. Sometimes you know, do you get what I'm trying to say? So, but I'm just busy. When you're busy parenting, if you didn't have any ill intent, when you're busy parenting, you're not busy keeping receipts for in case.
Imagine.
So, Mara, about 5,000, I think this is where maybe we can clarify. Like, if they say 5,000, what would they base it on? Wouldn't it be based on the information you're offering to say, and then Reba Bona Bare actually what she uses 5,000? Let's say in your instance now with being a stay-at-home mom, by the time Batako about 5,000, they already know don't have an income, but then based on this receipts that you gave, it's then
Like
say
I need
5,000.
to learn his case to say, I can only afford that.
Yeah.
Lifestyle like this and this, and you know, so it's a given. So that's what I'm saying. The challenge for stay-at-home moms is that for Hore, it almost feels like your case is weak. Because you do not have things to you couldn't totally buanke story, you know, hearsay. Because you're like, I stay with the child the whole day. When the child is sick, I'm the one that you don't understand. That's a value. You know, the fact that when you can go to work and be okay and facilitate meetings and what when you know for your child is sick, the mother, not
the helper.
So you must know that's a value. Sometimes
They don't
people
see
do
it
not
as such.
see it.
Oh,
The fact that
so I'm thinking, coach, maybe I'm getting lost a little
I'm
bit.
talking- I'm talking-
Yeah, so I'm just asking. So what would you rather the court do? Like sort of like are you thinking they're not putting that they should be putting that into consideration?
I also feel for Hore represents, you know, like now I was even in a position where I felt like I wish I could represent myself. Maybe it's that legal background.
Even if
coming
you
in.
do,
but I felt
yeah.
that I wish I could stand up and tell them, because you relay your message. I need to your lawyer is your messenger. Basically, he's the one that's gonna present your case and whatnot. So that's what I mean for you cannot describe to a person who's never seen the color red. You know, so chances are in most cases I'm explaining to a man who probably doesn't know the value, who feels for TV the whole day, man.
And okay, let me clarify. I know you're a little bit confused now. Let me clarify it for you. Okay, so I think most of the time when we hear about child maintenance, we hear it from the American perspective, where a female can just decide which are their ex-husband or child maintenance at $20,000, and then they can stipulate what this much goes to schooling, this much goes to lifestyle maintenance, this much. I feel like, well, my experience, which is 3 years ago, I don't know if things have changed. In South Africa, the cost for living, whether it's medical related, school, food, you know, anything that the child needs, you need to be able to bring proof of that and then present that to the court. But that's not guaranteed or you will get that much.
Which is fake, because then that's where let us here's where I'm getting confused. I'm getting confused, Kaware. We're saying there are certain variables, like a court comes with a decision to say there's a certain amount, 5,000 in this instance, right? And then we are saying, but the court doesn't consider other variables, right? And in my mind, I would think if a court is saying, do this tedious work of bringing me the slip, what they're essentially trying to do is be fair, right? They're trying to say, on a month to month, this is how much the child is earning, right? The expense is. Well, now we like at 25,000. Let's substantiate and quantify, or 25,000 rand. Is it what the child needs now?
Yes,
right. Because remember here, you're going for I get Risha maintenance young one.
Yes.
Right. And I guess Yawari probably were staying at home and they have to pay for whatever. That's
and she's got a valid point. She needs that too. Right?
Yes. I think that's a different court that can answer that question. But when we're talking specifically for one, I would think they want to see how much exactly you are spending on the child, so that they can say if Bashallah about 5,000. It means that is what the child would need.
My point is, for you're saying, let's quantify that because that's what the child would need. I'm saying, for a person who is, let's call it a stay-at-home mom or a self-employed, whatnot, it becomes difficult to produce that proof of how much a child needs. Do you get what I'm trying to say?
So, but I think the source data here is not what you think, but rather the supporting documents that they're trying to acquire.
But then let me add on to the supporting documents.
Yeah.
Even if you can prove for this child's, to maintain this child's life, including all the other necessities, give 5,000. What I was complaining about is not as a mother who has a standard income salary, say yeah, 25,000, and then the father happens to be a self-employed person. You end up shooting yourself in the foot because the court then comes back and says, but Mutu standard salary. This month to 10, next month to 50. So now we are going to expect 70% from you. And the father, he can only maintain 2 grand every month.
Do you think it like, and I'm just asking here, ne, your thought, and I'm not saying you guys know because you're not on the other side, but just your thought. Do you think if the father says, I can le ena produce the documents ka citing la
Yeah,
gagwe,
gore ena
like
bokae.
ena bokae, whatever, actually the expense tsa gagwe le ena di supporting documents reborn. Do you think if the father says I can afford 500 rand, I afford a 5,000, they would actually say it's okay?
No, they would investigate. I'm not saying that there are no cases where the woman has said Wanaga needs 10,000 maintenance and the father did not. There are cases where the father did, where fathers have agreed to that because they can afford.
Yes.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
There are cases where the father could afford. And maybe in my case, it's a different situation because the kind of people I've been with are either self-employed or work in an industry where they are contractual based, meaning that at a certain time of the year, their contractual income changes, right? So that's when I lost hope of ever even trying to fight the system because I feel like the system is not on the parent who's raising the child's side. They do not consider that there is a parent who's there day and night. If the child falls sick at night, guess who's going to rush the child to the hospital? The parent who's with the child.
And
So
also,
that parent
and
must
also-
have petrol.
Yeah, and sometimes that's not sometimes that's not accounted for. And also coming back to what was your question? Look, it escapes me now.
Coming back
Oh
to
no,
the
when you were
issue.
saying, can the father say
Can they come back and say,
I can only afford 500?
Yes, and the court says, Mara, we see you earn.
It can happen. It all depends on your legal team. So if your legal team is weak, you are gonna lose that case. So the onus depends on you to prove your case. And in most cases, most women don't earn as much as men. Men are the what? It's a man's world. In most cases, they've got like an extra 30K in the bank. They can pay like they can get the best legal teams. Whereas when are you probably using legal aid? You are probably using whatever that you are using. So maybe your legal team is not that strong. So when a man comes and says, because sometimes also people lie, they think that clever.
Oh, yeah.
When somebody comes with fraudulent documents and says,
Or even bribe the system.
or bribes the system or whatever, and says, get a magadi mac, get a magadi what, but I only earn 10,000.
And they've done that. There's
and
so
they
many
produce
cases.
illegal
So when-
pay slips,
yeah.
they produce what, and your legal team is not resourced enough to go and research those matters. You're gonna lose the case. Because the
That's
judge
just
or
not
magistrate is not gonna go through, trying to prove or trying to see your case or whatnot. Utlo check out the facts that are given to him or her and make a decision from that.
You know what? I didn't expect us to actually close it down on such an intense note, ne? So can I just lighten it up a bit? For those who are interested in tackling this one a bit further, I think it would be wise to say join us in the comments and share your experience with the justice system. And if you have found an easier way to tackle it, come through and help a fellow single mother out. But then before I close it down, I just wanted to ask you now, Alice, you could also chip in as well. What advice would you give to a parent that has just found themselves in a situation where they're about to be single mothers? Maybe they've made that decision where they've realized it's not going to work with the dad anymore. But how can you still serve this child and raise them adequately? Because broken adults are people who usually come from broken homes, and that's what causes social ills in our communities and societies. So what can you say to a single mother to hold up that, I wouldn't say it's a baton, but just to hold up that cross and just do the best they can do? What advice would you give?
The advice that I give ladies in general, this is a blanket approach. Protect your bag. That's what's gonna protect you.
I didn't expect that. The bag being who, the man or your bag, personal bag?
No. Don't let a man be your bag. Like that is being in a good economic position helps you. It opens up your options.
Absolutely.
So sometimes
100%.
we are in situations where you are muzzled. You can't say much because you depend on somebody else. Like it matters of the stomach, So you're making decisions based on economic matters. So when you protect, so whether it means going to school, go to school, push your businesses, climb the corporate ladder, but whatever you do not let love blind you to think that you can't, you should not prioritize your bag. Love
on
your
now.
bag more than you love any man, because a man is going to let you down. I'm sorry.
Come on now. My mother always
sorry.
says your job is your first husband. What
In
do you,
the
do you have
desert,
anything to
ladies.
do you have anything to add to that, Alice?
Yeah. Financial thing is important, right? But I think the one thing for me that I hold dearly, right, and I think it's the element of understanding. And please don't ask me a lot of questions about it today. We'll talk about it some other time.
We will ask you in the comments.
Yes, please. So no, I think we all lack understanding. So for me, I would say for a parent who's about to get into single parenthood, and especially if that's a decision or a situation that you're finding yourself in, I would say for you to be able to move forward is just to have some understanding. Because when you don't have the understanding, you've got this high expectation, and when it doesn't, you're the one that hurts the most. But if you do have, if you just understand, even if it just like, you know what, it is what it is, I get it, right? You're able to move forward, because then it means you know exactly what problem you're having. You understand? You don't have expectation for it. So your baby daddy is disappearing for 10 years and coming back after 5 years and acting like he's been around for long. Every single year for me, how I found that I became okay. Yes, I had the support of my family, but the one thing that I had was just to say, I understand it. You know what I mean?
Even if you don't.
No, I said, I
Accept
analyzed it, I accepted it, and I understood it.
I hear you.
I don't have to like it, but I understand it.
When
I understand it.
I understand.
Yeah, ne? I understand.
Ke a e bona.
Wow, you know what? It's a heated
I admire
conversation. Yeah, I admire that too. It's a heated conversation, and I just feel like maybe it requires a few more minutes, or maybe an hour or two. But you know what? At the end of the day, we have to cut it short somewhere. But I just want to close with this. You know, Sepedi se re, chiwana e sa hweng, e hlola manono. What that means is that a child that's missing one parent will usually breed prosperity. So in most cases, a child that's missing another parent will not necessarily turn them into somebody that's lacking or inadequate or seemingly disabled in some parts of their lives. But those kind of children, because they see what their mothers actually have to go through, end up being the most prosperous people. And I'm just hoping that in that prosperity, those very same children would not perpetuate the same cycle and sort of change the generational pattern. And that's where I would like to leave it for today. And I would like to also advise our viewer to share your 2 cents with in our comments. We're definitely not done with this one. It seems like we're leaving it on a cliffhanger, allowing you to go and, tackle it a bit amongst yourselves. Add your 2 cents worth. We really don't mind hearing what you think. Otherwise, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Yes, press that like and also press that notification bell. Stay tuned for yet another episode on the social pillar of varied views. Of course, we still have the business section for you, which will be interjecting in between here and there, trying to keep it varied because variety is the spice of life. My name is Nolo Matlaila, and I leave you with Shalom, Shalom. Neo, thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you for having Guys, it's now _Rams, okay?
All right, you heard her, Noah_Rams.
Follow.
And Alice, thank you so much, our lovely host.
1, 2,